of the world.
Exaggeration. Unless I know to be true.
And welcome to the Theatre of the World. It's our first ever episode, our pilot episode, if you will. I'm James.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Chris.
And we are Man Bites God, and we rehearsed that intro for hours. And Mark, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, certainly. I have a list of fact bombs to drop on y'all.
If we do this segment every week, can we call this segment Fact Bombs?
Absolutely.
Can we have a theme song?
Oh, sure.
Can the theme song be Ooh, Fact Bombs?
I thought you were going to go with fact bomb. You're a fact bomb.
So yes, it being our pilot episode, we thought we'd keep on topic, as it were, and talk about pilots.
Yep.
Good. Fact bomb.
The world's most famous pilot is Pontius Pilate.
He
See that one? See that one coming?
He flew the good ship Jesus Christ.
Pontius Pilate invented the popular exercise Pilates, which was named after him but mispronounced.
I see.
Yes.
That's true, actually. I think the first move in Pilates is to do the cross.
Yeah. The world's second most famous pilot is John Travolta, who is best known for starring in a Greek film about 40-year-old high school students.
Yes.
That's true.
That is true.
And that film was called Face Off.
The world's third most famous pilot is a pilot whale. It's a 20-foot-long mammal.
Yep.
And
Just any particular pilot whale?
well, no, all of them.
Barry,
the species, I guess. The pilot whale is actually a very social animal and can often be found in groups of 20 to 90,
Yes.
frequenting intercity bars.
Yep.
They spend a lot of time on Facebook.
Fact bomb.
That's a good segment. I'm
segment, isn't it?
excited by that segment.
I'm surprised that you didn't go for another famous pilot is the pilot light.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's it.
That's how Pontius Pilate found Jesus.
Yeah. And the pilot pen. I'm not sure
Pilot pen.
are
Are we getting into branding? I don't know.
So. Or we can
Could we monetize
We'll
this?
ask them.
If we could
We'll ask them.
monetize it,
Sure,
then
why
certainly.
We don't have a sponsor.
No.
No sponsor.
Maybe Pilot Pens would be interested.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested in sponsoring this, call in.
Wow. 5 minutes in, we're asking for money.
Learn to dance today, there's fun in your feet. A tap, step, or two-step for any new beat. Whirling and twirling is rhythm and grace. To learn to dance, our school is the place.
If we're talking about pilots and we're talking about planes and things like that, this is my favourite plane story of which I am experienced. I think everyone who's, every musician who's ever toured has a, so much shit is written in about airports or about planes and stuff like that, because that's just what you do. You sit around.
Yep. Airline food.
Airline food.
What's the deal with it?
I mean, don't get me started, please. But the one I have is I was on a flight from Melbourne to Perth, which is a long flight.
That is a long flight.
And I was very tired. I was going to play some cello somewhere in Perth, and I was just exhausted. And because it's a long flight, it's across the whole of Australia. I was just so ready to have sleep because essentially I was going to have to get there and play, and so I really wanted sleep for what is it, like a 5 hour?
Yeah, 4.5.
4.5 hour thing. But you lose in this time, and anyway, I'm falling asleep, and it's going quite well. I have trouble sleeping on planes, but it's not going too badly. And I finally nod off. And I'm woken up by an announcement from the flight attendant. And the flight attendant, and I swear to God, this is true. The flight attendant says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to advise you that there is a tiger walking up the aisle of the plane." No, not a hint of a joke.
Right.
Not a hint of it. Literally, that is it. Now, I am mostly asleep.
Yeah.
And in the mornings you hear the alarm and you still kind of process it, even though you're asleep. That processed, and I sort of woke up, and my first thought was, what is the emergency procedure for when a tiger is? And I literally I reached out and grabbed the little card in the front of the thing and looking desperately for the what do you do if there's? I knew where the exits were,
Yeah.
but I don't know what you do when there is a tiger walking down the aisle of your plane. And I'm looking around, and everybody else, and this was the crazy part, everybody else seemed very, very calm.
For a tiger incident. Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe I dreamed it. There's a good chance I just nodded off and dreamed it.
Yeah.
And then I heard it again, and I was fully awake, and everyone heard it. And they're like, ladies and gentlemen, there is a tiger walking down the aisle of the plane. And everyone's like, and even a bit of a giggle. And I'm looking around going, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because as far as I know, tiger down the aisle of the plane, it's not even slang for anything. Like, that's not a cool way of saying anything.
It's drug talk.
Yeah, if it was, hey, you want to put a tiger down the aisle of your plane? That I would understand. It's not, but there's no. So I'm looking around, and I finally, I look down the aisle, and right at the end of the aisle, I can see a 4-year-old child dressed as a tiger. and she's look, was it cute? Yeah, it was cute. Because not only is she dressed as a tiger, but she's walking down the aisle and periodically she's leaning over to passengers either side and going, "Arr, arr." Is that irresponsible? I'll throw it open. Is that irresponsible? Because this was essentially an emergency public address system used by the plane.
Yes.
If someone next to me had gone, hey, there's a tiger, you go, okay, that's funny. But these were the flight attendants who, let's face it, they were fucking with me. That's
Yeah.
not nice.
I don't know if it's irresponsible, but geez, the quality of in-flight entertainment's gone down, hasn't it?
What was really interesting was when the tiger got, like the little kid dressed as the tiger got a little further down the plane, she was actually shot by 2 other children dressed as poachers. That didn't really happen. I felt the story needed an out.
Yeah.
But, grumpy.
Yeah.
Because I was asleep, and that's what woke me up, and I just couldn't see the humor of it. I couldn't see that it was cute. I couldn't see that it was lovely. I really did just want to kill that kid.
It wasn't a tiger flight.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't going to name the airline, but it wasn't a tiger flight. In fact, possibly this was pre-tiger.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, because if it had been a publicity stunt, then I would have really killed the kid.
Yeah,
and then it would have been great because it would have been man kills child dressed as tiger on tiger. You don't buy publicity that good. No.
Yeah.
Different airline that I didn't want to mention, but let's just say that out of the Australian domestic airlines, it's the funky airline that does the funky.
Yeah, the cool announcements.
They do the cool announcements
yeah,
that
I
are
know.
hilarious,
We are so
not
funny.
to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I'm-
Turn off all of your electronic devices, including all hair dryers. Fuck you. You know how many times I fly a plane and hear that joke? Fuck you.
But I think that's the thing is I think even the people who work on those airlines, they're the ones who've heard it the most, and they're probably the ones who are just completely over it. And
Do you think it's scripted? Do you think that's
Oh,
scripted?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, no, it's
I've heard it
it's
multiple
planned corporate wackiness.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't even think of that. Cause I just thought, it's some flight attendant. He thinks he's fucking Bill Hicks, and he's rocking the mic like a motherfucker. I didn't realize it was. Oh, that's so sad if they
Yeah.
make these people say it.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
I
you, Virgin Airlines. There, fuck you.
Take that.
How dare you enforce wackiness in? You know the last place I want wackiness, the sky.
I think we've just picked up one pen sponsor and lost
We've
one.
lost the
airline.
airline.
I like the other airlines because you get on and it's like being in some kind of Eastern Bloc country in the 80s. You will sit, you possibly will die, you will have the food, you will get off the plane. I like that.
Yeah.
I like not wacky. Oh, look at us having a bit of a fly in the clouds.
No, I was in a plane once, and the stewardess had a really thick accent, and I think I might have been in Europe somewhere.
So technically, she didn't have an accent.
No,
You
I
had an
had an
accent.
accent.
You
And
fucking racist.
Regardless, I was the one interpreting what she said.
Right.
And
For the other
it was
passengers?
actually.
That must have been really annoying.
Except I think it was.
I think what she means is sandwiches.
I think it was a South African accent, which
Okay.
takes it completely out of all that.
That's not in Europe,
But
you know that,
What
don't
was funny? But what was funny was she said the word hips really weirdly. And no,
What fucking hell?
Wait.
There are a lot of questions here.
The announcement was make sure that your seatbelt is firmly tightened around your hips.
Okay.
Okay,
we'll
but
buy that.
the way I heard it was make sure your seatbelt is firmly tightened around your head. And I thought, oh, this is a new airline thing. They just around your head. That'll secure you. And it wasn't even ambiguous. It was like she'd actually said head in my mind that I was like, what? Really?
So you started doing it. You started doing it. Did you did the crew have to go? There's a man in seat A3, and he's attaching the seatbelt to
He's
his
on
head.
the floor. He's on his knees. He's put his head into the seat, and he's tightened it around his head, firmly around my head.
He's wearing our chair like a helmet.
Yeah.
Why is he doing that? That's
Yeah.
very strange. Sparkle.
The first time I went to Ireland, I was flying on a very cheap airline, and I decided to treat myself to a beer to stave off the misery of budget airlines. And as after I'd been served it, and as I was just as I'd opened it, the stewardess bumped me, and the beer went into my lap, and so I had to sit for the rest of the flight. In wet jeans.
Yeah.
And I arrived.
Usually that drink goes through you first before you're sitting in your wet dreams.
And
If you're David Hasselhoff, though, that's just another day at the park.
And so I arrived in Dublin
With a wet ass.
with looking like I'd wet my pants
Oh dear.
and smelling of alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, so you would have passed relatively unobserved.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. I remember you and I, and possibly the three of us, were on a flight because we're on tour. We're Man But's God, we're touring somewhere, and we're on a flight. And because that story reminded me of that is, I think Chris was sitting somewhere, and you and I were sitting behind a couple who had a kid. By the way, if you're a couple listening to this and you have children, just don't fly with kids. Don't fly with kids. Let me explain something to you while we're stopped in this moment. If you have a child, they will not benefit from a change of scenery. It's very expensive to travel with a child. What you do is you just take coloured cards and you change them and hold them up in front of the child's face.
Yeah.
And that is the same as taking them to a different country.
Yeah.
They don't need to travel to a different country. The same effect could be achieved by just plonking them in front of the television, maybe with some drugs. That's all a child needs. It doesn't need to travel on a plane and cry and inconvenience handsome travellers like ourselves. It doesn't need to happen. So don't ever... And you know what? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, yes, but we're not really taking our child on a trip. We're travelling with our child. And you know what? If you've had a child, the price you pay for having a child is not to travel. Just take it on board. All I'm saying is that's a suggestion. Anyway, we were sitting behind such couple who weren't going to let their kid slow them down. You know, the kind of couple who also go to your favourite restaurants.
Yes.
Cunts. Anyway, the
Controversial parenting tips there.
I'm just saying, we can always cut that bit. But the we were sitting behind such a couple, and their child had milk.
Oh, I remember this now.
Their child had milk, and like in one of those containers with a bee on it or something. And the child, because it's a child, I don't blame the child. The child was just being a child, and it spilt the milk. But it didn't spill the milk on its parents, which would have been funny. It spilt the milk backwards mainly onto Mark, who was sitting next to me. And I'll tell you what, I've known Mark for many, many, many years now, and I've seen him in various states of distress and anger. But I possibly have never seen Mark so angry and disappointed as when a small child splattered him with milk. And not only that, but at the start of the plane. I'm pretty sure it was near the start of the plane.
And it was horrendously early in the morning as well. It was the first flight, I think, out of Adelaide.
So we were hungover.
We were hungover.
That's worse.
We'd been rocking out
Sleep
until
deprived.
all hours of the morning the night before, and
I think we'd had an hour's sleep.
yeah,
And I think we actually had a little kip in the airport as well.
yeah.
With our instruments. Has there been a flight that you've been on, Sparky, that you haven't been drenched in some way?
Very few. It would seem it's 2 from 2.
But as the flight went on, because Mark covered in milk now, and as the flight went on, Mark's hangover and his rage heated the milk.
Yeah.
So that it really, you could smell it fermenting on him.
Yeah.
By the time he got home, he was covered in cheese.
Yeah.
It was quite disgusting.
Yeah.
It was disgusting for me because I wasn't, but I was sitting next to him.
Yeah.
And it was bad enough.
Yeah.
But poor Mark,
Yeah.
just a little science experiment next to him. Well, I have a thing that I would like to read.
You have
out.
a piece?
I have a piece.
Okay.
I thought because this show is our pilot show, I took it in a slightly different direction. Sparky, when we're mixing this together, I would like some kind of classical quartet music under this reading.
Sure, we can arrange that.
I just feel that classical quartet music under a reading just automatically makes everything better.
Classy.
and
It gives it more
Yeah.
gravitas. Yeah,
So if we could do that, we can arrange that.
yeah, absolutely.
That would be lovely.
Get the
I'm
band
going to
back
assume
together.
that the music starts now. Delightful. Pilot Fish. An essay by James Hazelden. The first recorded essay on the pilot fish was written in 1545 by Lord Montague Brown. It was quite a simple essay. In fact, it was just the words pilot fish, written 456 times on a toilet door with a crayon. Lord Brown was not so much a scientist or a marine biologist as a crazy man who lived in a toilet. Yet the essay garnered favour overseas and was for some years considered the seminal work on the subject. There is a misconception that the pilot fish was named after a pilot because of its telltale tiny leather helmet and ability to speak like Biggles. The truth is, it was named after its discoverer, Sir Edward Pilot Fish. This brash adventurer and boutique owner registered the world's first pilot fish sighting when he spotted one swimming in the froth of his cappuccino in 1467. He rescued the little creature with a spoon and kept it in his wallet, and the two were firm friends ever since. The pilot fish is thought to have strange aphrodisiacal powers, and if ground up and snorted, it makes the subject think barn animals are sexy 17th century courtesans. Consequently, this strange critter of the sea has grown extremely scarce in recent times, and is often seen wearing a false moustache to convince its would-be captors that it is not a fish at all, but Belgian artist Andre Matisse. This works only until someone asks the pilot fish to render a simple landscape, at which point the pilot fish usually panics and tries to stab the attacker uselessly with its tiny fin. The best places to see pilot fish is in the water, in a fish shop, or on the television. The worst places to see the pilot fish is in space, under a wig, or in bed with your wife. The next time you come across this tiny miracle of nature, remember that it enjoys eating pickles and its favourite pastime is singing and jogging, but never at the same time. Pilot fish are not dangerous, but when approaching them, never turn your back on them and only stand after they have stood first. Good luck and happy pilot fishing.
I'm learning so much.
I know, it's just great. It's a really educational program. This one.
Yeah.
I think that's very cool.
Perhaps we should have a word from our sponsors at this point.
Oh, I agree.
Our dairy products will keep you in the pink. Enjoy our dairy products, pure and good to eat and drink.
Try some dairy.
I mean, that ties in well with the Mark story
Yes.
about having milk spilt on him.
Well, and that was exactly what that baby was trying to tell you, really, was just try some dairy.
It was
I
an
mean,
aggressive
on you.
marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. People bathe in milk, man. So
Some people.
that's, yeah.
Well, we've officially diverted from topic now, which is exciting.
I guess well, if we're going to continue deviating,
Yeah, carry
I
on.
bought a. Chris, you know this story. James, you know this story. I've told
So what
it
do we do? We
before.
have to pretend to be excited.
Yeah. Well, you can. I don't know. Interject.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
why
right,
not?
fine. No.
So I bought a. I'm recently moved into a flat.
What?
Yes.
Is that I'm
Jesus.
helping?
Okay.
I'm interjecting. Is that right?
That's-
That was
good.
a good
It was a
interjection.
loud interjection.
So-
And so I when you do that, you realize how little furniture you have. You actually own yourself, and so I've spent a lot of time at IKEA, which is awful. I hate it. I hate it.
I don't understand IKEA because IKEA is trying to essentially sell convenience.
Yeah.
Because, you put it together. And to be honest, the furniture is easy to put together.
Oh,
and
it's
simple.
fine.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But the motherfucking stores are impossible to navigate. Like, they're just full of assholes.
Walking slowly.
Yes. We've just lost IKEA as a sponsor.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
And I decided to treat myself and go and buy a nice sort of vintage coffee table to kind of, cut the IKEA heavy appearance my flat's taken on.
Wise.
And
So the guests can focus on the coffee table.
yes. And so I went into the Lost and Found Market on Smith Street in Collingwood here, a fine establishment of vintage
This could be a
wares.
sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I found myself a nice glass-topped coffee table. Chris, I know if you're thinking there.
I'm thinking that's lovely.
Yes,
You could see the floor through that.
you sure can. It's
Really? I was
a
thinking
bunch of
about,
other gear too.
I was thinking about defecating on it. I don't know where your mind was going.
So yeah, I purchased this rather attractive coffee table and brought it home, and then also at the same time needed some shelving to store my collection of DVDs, and so I went to IKEA, and so while assembling those shelves, I had my newly purchased coffee table, which had been mine for about half an hour, just sitting nearby, and the shelves that I'd now just assembled were leaning up against the wall, and I went to move another piece of furniture and watched in slow motion as the shelves came crashing down onto my coffee table that I'd owned for half an hour, and smashing it into a million billion pieces.
Yeah.
And I spent a long time just not saying or doing anything. I just stood. And then what I did was I turned around and I closed my eyes and I stood there for a while and I thought to myself, maybe when I turn around, it won't have happened. And so I did that, but it had happened.
Oh,
and so
damn.
then what I did was walk into the kitchen.
Yes.
And I stood there for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe when I walk back out into the living room, it won't have happened.
Yeah.
Freud had a lot to say about
Oh, yeah.
denial and repression.
So I did that 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Weeks passed.
And then finally on the 5th time,
Yeah.
I went into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I stood there and I walked out. And it was still broken, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I was hoping it was suddenly fixed.
No.
Because that would be magic.
The coffee table fairies had been in the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
My
my
God, they've
that was
done their work in a night.
I'd say it was probably the most depressing thing that's happened to me in the last 2 weeks.
You know, without anthropomorphizing your DVD shelves,
Yes.
I think it was deliberate.
Jealousy.
Yeah, I think
the
so.
DVD shelves were going, no, you are not part of my family,
Yeah,
to the
that's
coffee
right.
table. And because there have been times I have a lot of IKEA furniture in my house, and there are times where you walk in the room and see, say, a nice table looking sheepish in the corner and just a vase smashed on the floor. And that IKEA table, it knows what it's done, but there's no proof.
Do you know
There's
the
no
problem with
proving
those tables, though, is because they're only occasional tables.
that. That's true. Yeah.
So they just get to a point where they go, well, I don't want to be a table for a while. Maybe I want to go to Europe and backpack.
yeah.
And they're out the door.
I wrote a poem though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wrote a poem.
Is it about your table?
Yes. It's about my
That's
table.
awesome.
Let's
Definitely,
hear
I'd like to hear it.
It's called Requiem for a Coffee Table.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, we'll need more classical music.
Oh,
because-
they're definitely.
I think it should be sad at low when we're putting this. We'll make sad music.
Yeah,
Sad
yeah.
music.
sad music.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
cue sad music now.
Requiem for a Coffee Table. Hold your drink in your hand, rest it low in your lap. Place it there on the floor. The table, once here, is now no more. You Swedish bastard.
That's very good.
Oh yeah,
That's short and
that's
sweet,
interesting.
but I liked it. That was
I
very
wonder if
good.
there is. I wonder if there is some
Swedish bastard.
There's some cultural conflict going
Yeah,
on.
I think
wonder
it
where
was,
this table was
racism.
built.
I think it was
Yeah.
racism.
Well, essentially,
Maybe.
what happened was Sweden invaded the coffee
Yeah,
table.
that's
I mean,
right.
it literally annexed it.
You know.
I don't know what
It's sort of
maybe the
sort of
cocktail
like
was
sort of like the
Hungarian or
Ottoman Empire
what nationality
when the world was taken over by footstools.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who the Swedes don't like. So I'm assuming
Are they neutral?
they're pretty
that's
neutral.
Switzerland.
Switzerland,
I imagine that they're, there's no conflict that comes immediately to mind, but I'm sure that they hate the Hungarians. I'm just saying
Wow.
Whoa.
because I don't want to.
You don't want to start World War III here, Chris.
Yeah.
Really?
It's
You're
just-
pitting the Swedish against the Hungarians?
Well, the
Is it because
reason-
they're both obscure and you know nothing of them?
Yes,
Right.
partially, but also the reason I think that Hungary came to mind was because you were talking about a coffee table,
I see.
and often you put food on a coffee table, and Swedes are also a food. So I was bringing all the foods together.
Swedish meatballs.
Some Swedish meatballs. Yeah. So that was where I was at.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Theatre of the World podcast today was shut down by authorities after some food-based analogies incited hatred in no less than 2 European countries.
Furniture hatred.
What a thrilling wander through Chris's mind that was.
I have to while we're deviating, and I will really actually bring it all back around.
Okay.
Oh, well,
cool.
you'll take this podcast
We're gonna
and
wrap
save
this
it.
up.
I'm going to be circular.
All right,
in
bring it
the
home.
Bring it back. But last night, I just wanted to share this story with you because I find it amazing in my brain that there are people like this. But I'm gonna pick on the Europeans.
So racist, this episode. This is our first episode.
I know. I'm only getting
Really?
started.
Opening,
Oh my God.
I've essentially said that all parents are assholes and you hate the world.
And I get covered in beverages.
Yeah,
Yes.
all the
You
time.
smashed an
time.
innocent coffee table with your poo or whatever the story was about.
So last night I was walking past a popular bar in Brunswick Street, and I won't mention it because they haven't confirmed their sponsorship at this point. But as I was walking past, there were a couple of what I'm assuming are British backpackers. But essentially, the bouncer was wanting to see some ID, and clearly the young man, who did look quite young, I would have asked him for ID.
Yeah.
That would have been
Was
weird,
explaining to the bouncer in a very petulant English tone that they don't ask for ID in London anymore. I didn't bring any because they don't ask for it anymore. Well, I don't know why you want it. Just let me in. I was like, really? They don't ask for ID in London anymore?
Also, you're not in London.
Yeah, and what the hell? I mean, that's a great excuse. I mean, obviously, picking a fight with the bouncer is the best way to get yourself into
Absolutely. It's a great way to make friends, and it's a
either that or a
It's good
quick
logic,
trip
though.
to a hospital.
yes.
It's good logic, though, because once he was in the bar, presuming he got into the bar, he'd just be at the counter going, well, we don't pay for drinks in London.
That's right.
we don't. There's no exchange of currency in favour of beverage in London. That doesn't work.
That's it.
Can you do me a favour?
Yeah.
That English character that you've
Yeah.
just created, I'm going to ask it a question. Can you respond in that
I'll
character?
try.
All right, ready? Ralph, where's your homework?
Oh, they don't have homework in London.
That's perfect.
Oh, excellent.
It's an all-purpose excuse. That's what I like about
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah.
It works.
course it does.
It really works.
The only place it doesn't work is London.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
Right?
That's a good
You got to
point.
come up with something different in London.
No, I reckon you could still get away with it.
You get away with it in other
Get away
parts
with
of
it.
England.
Well, that's not how we do things here in London. I don't know where you're from.
I can't believe in this day and age that they still have machine gun-led genocide in London. I mean, what kind of world are we living in? It's crazy. I was in Australia. I was asked for ID and money for beer. Oh, my goodness, I'm a chimney sweep, governor. Oh, I clean your chimneys with hatred. I'm the chimney sweep of hate.
Excellent. I can't wait to find out more about
I
Ralph.
like the adventures of Ralph.
When I was thinking about this particular topic, it occurred to me I've flown a lot, and
Sometimes in planes. No.
and I've never really got better at it.
You're not really an integral part of the system, champ. You're really just hitching a ride.
You're just weight.
But look, I mean
Phallus.
that's fair enough. You say that, but it is firmly my belief that flight is not possible
Right.
unless you're a bird. Planes are not birds. This is a statement of fact.
I mean, you're
Planes
absolutely
are
right.
not birds.
That's true.
Birds are flappy. Planes are rigid. Are rigid giant pieces of
I
metal.
hope you're all taking this down at home. Planes equal rigid.
I've thrown bits of metal in the air. They don't stay up there.
You should not be throwing bits of metal in the air, Chris.
Have you been standing under them? That's the main question.
A small paper plane thrown with a lot of force, very light thing, doesn't go very far. Certainly doesn't go to, let's say, New York. Doesn't go to, let's say, Sydney.
To take your analogy though,
Yes.
paper is not planes, as planes are not birds.
But listen,
All right,
there's a point to this.
Oh,
right?
All good.
Okay.
because I'm about to go out and buy you a soapbox.
Because I think the only reason that we can fly is because
We can't fly.
Planes can fly, and as you pointed out before, we are not planes, and planes are not birds.
All right.
Birds are not paper. Paper is not we. We is not.
The only
toilets.
reason that there is any kind of aviation is because humans believe it. They just believe it. It's just a denial. It's a complete denial. It's like it's everyone sitting around going, "Oh yeah, well, I don't really understand how it works, but it obviously
Well,
works."
you don't understand how it works. That doesn't mean everybody doesn't understand. It's not a faith-based airline.
So eventually, I think everybody just started to believe it. I mean, the Wright brothers were there; they were testing out the things, and everybody's going, "Nah, there's no way a man can fly." And then the Wright brothers got a little bit of flight, and they went, "Oh shit, maybe we can fly." People started to believe it, and then they could. It's just the way it
Just as a
works.
diversion, do you know who the Wright brothers' arch nemesis were? The wrong brothers.
Yeah, right. So
What a great cartoon that would make.
Yeah.
Go on.
That's my belief. Is I think that we can only fly because everybody believes it, and that if everybody went, actually, you know what? That's insane. That can't possibly work. That all the planes will fall out of the sky at that point, right? So that makes me a nervous flyer. You know,
Yes.
makes me nervous.
Makes me nervous to be in a room with him.
What also makes me a nervous flyer is that all of the things that I was, sort of worried about, that I thought these are ridiculous ideas, I once spoke to a pilot about, and hoping that he would debunk them all. And I said, turbulence, not really a scary, dangerous thing, is it? And he didn't answer that question. Just looked kind of unsure about whether he
It was
should.
2 a.m. and Chris was standing above him as he was trying to sleep.
See, I pictured this as more not so much of Chris talking to the pilot, more shouting at him as the pilot walked off down the street.
Oh no, this is while he was flying the plane. And the other question I asked about was, when you take off, you've got to kind of get a bit of a tilt to get up into the air. And I'd always thought, oh well, shit, it'd be really bad if the bottom of the back of the plane scraped on the runway. That would be obviously that would damage the plane a bit. And I said to him, that obviously never happens. And he went, yeah, sometimes. And that was where I went, flying is a dangerous
I have
thing.
to fly soon. Why are you telling me this?
And so what I thought was, when I get onto a plane, I do have that fear, but then I go, no, I have to brace myself. I have to believe that this will happen, that the man up the front will get this plane in the air, will fly it, and then land it somewhere else. And so to reinforce my faith, that's right. To reinforce my faith,
It's faith reinforcement.
Yeah,
Shut up of your faith.
It's sort of it's a faithful reconstruction.
Oh, Jesus fuck.
I wrote a prayer for the pilot.
A prayer for the pilot.
Prayer for the pilot.
Oh, wait. Before we start, we should have music under this. We should have organ music.
Church music.
Okay.
Church
That's
music.
what-
The organ music would start now.
Prayer for a safe flight. Oh, Mr. Pilot, bus driver of the sky, I hope you're not drunk or very tired or having sex with a large-breasted stewardess in the cockpit like in that video I found under my cousin's bed that time. I hope you're fully focused, well rested, and with minimal libido. I hope that your window is clean and not fogging up, bracket. See previous statement about large-breasted stewardess, end bracket. I hope you don't have a stroke or a heart attack or some kind of aneurysm. That'd be great if you didn't have those. In essence, I hope that you get us to our destination safely, because I just don't believe those safety instruction demonstration tips are going to make an inch of difference when we hit the ground at 1,000 miles per hour and turn into a giant white-hot fireball. Amen.
That's as good a place as any to end this episode of Theatre of the World for this week. We're Man Bites God. I'm James.
Mark.
And Chris.
And join us again next week for things.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Find episodes and more at theatreoftheworld.com.
Jesus Christ.
You don't like turbulence, but you're prepared to stir up enough of it between our friends the Swedes and the Hungarians.
And by the way, how nervous can you be sticking your fucking hand out of a car? Oh,
Nervous
that's fine.
flyer, nervous walker, just fine with sticking your arm out the window of a moving car.
No problem with that.